Hi, friends, and welcome to day 9 of the holiday challenge. We are almost there. Okay, so today we're going to talk about food and overindulging. So, I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and she asked me, what are your tips for A, not feeling guilty, and B, keeping myself from like just gorging during the holidays? So, let's talk about that. So, first of all, there are three kind of major points I want to make. The first is around restrictions and deprivation. So, food restrictions because you have an allergy or, a sensitivity, that's a whole other conversation. We'll save that for another time. I'm talking about restricting ourselves because we've deemed certain foods good or bad, or have been taught because diet culture is so pervasive and has really done a number on many of us. um, this idea that certain foods are good or bad, and I can't indulge in that because I might get fat. Or a lot of people will get a lot of anxiety if they eat something that they normally wouldn't, and they're terrified because of the amount of calories that may be in it. um, you know there's so much disordered eating. It's like really a spectrum. And many of us fall prey to anxiety around food. And hence, there's a lot of restriction and a lot of deprivation. Now, when it comes to the holidays, there's a lot of beautiful food that is part of, different cultures, different family traditions. And, you know, food is part of how we celebrate. It's part of, the joie de vivre. It's part of the joy of life. And so, the last thing you want is to be at a family celebration and everyone's enjoying grandma's cake recipe, and you're not allowing yourself to partake in that joy and that, like, the festivities, because it's bad, or you might feel guilty. And so I'm going to give you permission to enjoy yourself, to actually, choose foods that are meaningful to you, that you really love. Like, I'll give you an example. Eggnog and shortbreads. For me, that's Christmas, and mincemeat, like mince pies. I have memories of all three of those things. Same thing with seafood chowder, like made with real cream, and all of the garnishes. Those are things that, for me, my family, we had them all the time at Christmas. Does that mean that I eat them every single day during the holidays? No, of course not. But when I do have them, I savor it and I enjoy it. And I don't allow myself to feel deprived, because for me, food is part of the celebration. It's part of tradition. It's part of what brings me joy. And so I want to encourage you to, you know, really create some awareness around where you might be depriving yourself, where you might be, there's like, maybe there's too much restriction, and where you can give yourself permission to just relax a little bit around food and enjoy yourself. Enjoy it. So, this idea of intentionally choosing, okay, I'm going to have this beautiful, Christmas cake that so and so has made me. Or maybe you're going for tea with a girlfriend, or maybe you're at a Christmas party and there's like a gorgeous tiramisu. And normally you wouldn't have that, but you're going to indulge because it's the holidays, and you know that, like, tiramisu is like your favorite thing. So allowing yourself to have some and really savoring and really enjoying it and allowing that joy to sink in, right? Versus, oh, I can't have that. And then feeling like you're, depriving yourself. Now, does that mean that you're going to go eat it every single day? No. There's this idea too of striking a balance. There was this episode of Oprah, oh my gosh, I don't know, it's like 15 years ago or something. I remember it's still in my memory. This idea of like this concept of eating like a French woman. It's so funny, but you know, because the French, there's often this paradox because they have so many what we would consider high calorie foods that are a regular part of their culture, their diet. So, like butter and cheese and bread and croissant and wine and, a lot of the things that a lot of people will deprive themselves of. And so it's this idea of like eating like a French woman, as in, allowing yourself the occasional indulgence and truly savoring it when you have it, enjoying it, maybe eating it a little bit more slowly, maybe putting your fork down between the bites, but not overindulging, not gorging yourself on it. But allowing yourself the occasional indulgence that's part of the joy of life, and then not feeling guilty about it. Um, and so, yes, so there's this idea of like, let's not restrict, let's not deprive ourselves of part of the joy of the season, which is celebrating, with beautiful food. Okay, and so we're going to ditch the guilt, we're going to ditch the restriction. But I think there's this idea of striking a balance and making it count. So I know, for example, eggnog and shortbreads, two of my favorite things. Now, again, I'm not going to have it every day, and I'm also not going to eat every Christmas cookie that comes my way. But I know, like, shortbreads, I love them. And yes, I'm going to plan to have those. I'm going to make it count. When I do have it, I'm going to have it with a cup of tea. I'm going to enjoy with my son. We're going to make Christmas cookies together. I'm going to plan it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to be intentional about it. The other thing is this idea of emotional eating. And so, again, the holidays can be a stressful time. They can be a very busy time. And, you can be around family or friends or situations that may trigger you emotionally, whether that's social anxiety, like being at a party, and having some social anxiety, and then suddenly finding yourself like shoving your mouth full of hors d'oeuvres, or um, or maybe you're at a family event and someone says something and it triggers an old trauma for you, and or a difficult family dynamic, and then you find that you're emotionally eating. Or maybe something like you're sad or you're by yourself or there's something going on emotionally, and because again there's more of these treats around us at this time of year, and the temptation is there to emotionally eat, to self-soothe, to feel better. So mindfulness, creating mindfulness around that and asking yourself, why am I eating this? Am I eating this because I'm trying to make myself feel better? Am I eating this because I'm trying to avoid pain or trying to avoid feeling something? Am I eating this because I feel pressure to eat this? That's another thing too. We'll be at family events or whatever, and like you feel pressured to eat certain things. So asserting boundaries and saying no, thank you, whatever it may be. But asking yourself, why am I eating this? Am I eating this because I'm trying to avoid an emotion or make myself feel better? Or am I eating this because I really love this and it's part of, the joy and creating a holiday memory for me. And therefore, I really want to have it. So that's really important to ask. So there's just a few points to think of surrounding food and the holidays that I'm just wanting to put out there for you to think about. So firstly, we're going to avoid this idea of restriction and deprivation. We want to allow ourselves to enjoy the holidays, and food is a big part of that. We're going to ditch the guilt, but we're also going to make it count, meaning we're going to make our choices count. We're going to choose wisely, meaning I'm not going to eat everything under the sun, but I'm going to choose what are the things that will help enrich my experience. What are the things that bring me joy? What are my favorite foods to have around the holidays? And how can I intentionally enjoy them and savor them and create more memories and create joy in my life? And then also we're going to ask ourselves, why are we eating this? We're going to create awareness around, is this, am I trying to self-soothe? Am I trying to avoid something? Or am I truly eating this out of enjoyment and creating a sense of celebration? So those are all points that I'm offering to you to consider when it comes to food and overindulging on the holidays. And also don't forget the concept of NEAT. So the non-exercise thermogenesis. So that's basically just like moving our bodies more, right? So this idea, you don't have to slave it at the gym for hours and hours if you've had a piece of cheesecake, but just getting up and moving our bodies more, going for an after dinner walk, going sledding with your children or going for a family walk after dinner, whatever it may be, doing chores, just getting up and moving around, getting up from your desk, setting a timer on your phone. I do this often. I set a timer on my phone to get up from my desk every 20 minutes or every 40 minutes and walk down the hall. Instead of sending that email to the coworker, walk down the hallway and have a conversation instead. So there's lots of ways that we can move our bodies more to compensate for the fact that we may be eating a little bit more during the holidays. So there you have it. That's what I have for you today, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.